All right, hey folks, let's see if we're live. And we're going to do some Magic the Gathering color magic design work for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. So let's first check in to see if I'm live so I can broadcast my signal here real quick. Check in to see if I'm live. Yep, it sounds like I'm sounding in pretty good. So we'll go ahead and do that. I'm going to grab some social media postings here real quick. I'll go through my origin story real quick and then we'll get to work here. So I don't think my volume is low enough, so I need to fix that real quick. Drop that down to 1%. Thank you. And cool. Okay, hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, and I publish online. And we are creating alternate magic system mechanics for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition using the other massive IP that Wizards of the Coast controls, Magic the Gathering. I've been a Magic the Gathering enthusiast since 1995. I've been a DM for Dungeons & Dragons since 1987. I've been a freelance illustrator since 1999. And I've been creating content on DMsGuild since 2017. The first books that we created were the Color Mana Spell Point variant rules that converted the 8 schools of magic and Vancian spell slot system into a Magic the Gathering color mana system instead. So basically the way that it works is each spell is assigned to one of the 5 schools of magic. And then they have a color identity based on the type of damage or general description of what the spell does. And the spell point system is a 1-to-1 ratio. So if it's a first level spell, it's 1 point. If it's a 5th level spell, it's 5 points. If it's 9th level spell, it's 9 points. And if, like, say, red is a fireball, red. Like if the fireball spell is a red spell, then it would take a 3rd level spell slot, so 1 point of mana needs to be red, and the other 2 points could be any color that you want. When you run out of red mana, you can't cast a spell anymore. Whenever you finish a short or long rest, you can reconfigure or devote your mana to any color that you please. If you're playing like say Ravnica, where your character has 2 colors, say Orzhov has white and black mana. So spells that are naturally or native to white and black, you can cast no problem. If they aren't white or black, if you're using a soft magic system where you're just using magic points to take care of your allocation of spells per day and you're just leaving it narrative, kind of like the 8 schools are, when you cast a necromancy spell, you just spend a spell slot or spell points and you cast the spell and you say it's necromancy and it does the thing. In color magic, you can act the same way, and that you use your spell points or your spell slot, and you say, I'm casting a Orzhov spell, which is, whatever is black or, white or black, and then you're done with it. You cast a spell, there you go. But if you want to use a hard magic system, then you devote each point in your mana pool to a specific color, and if the spell that you want isn't white or black, you either have to find it, research it, or you can learn the spell twice, once in its natural color, and then you can learn it again in the color that you want it to be. So depending on how hard or soft you want your magic system to be in the campaign, which is a session 0 decision, you can establish how much of a mini game do casters need to play to be able to make sure they have the spells that they want with the mana that they want. So it becomes an issue of how many black and white spells do I have access to right now, and how much mana that's black and white do I have to coordinate those spells with. This is actually a self-nerf method to bring down the power of spellcasters in comparison to marshals. Prior to 5th edition, when you had a spell slot, you used to have to assign specifically which spell are you preparing for that spell slot. And if you didn't prepare Fireball today, you don't have Fireball today because you didn't prepare it, right? You don't have any spell slots assigned to it. Only once we got to 5th edition did they give you a resource pool completely separate from the list of spells that you know. And you can mix and match, and you could just spend as many of your spell slots on the spells that you have prepared as you want without having any forethought about which ones would you need, beyond just preparing them. This mana system, which can be used with 5 colors, 4 elements, 3 bodies, or 2 sides of the force, or the 8 schools, but I don't recommend using hard magic with assigned spell points to anything beyond 5 schools or 5 aspects, 5 facets of Magic, because it becomes too unwieldy. Generally 2 or 3 is best. You can do 4 or 5 if you want to be really rough about it. So I generally recommend like the Strixhaven or the Ravnica theme of pick 2, maybe 3 colors that you want to represent your character, and then make all the spells and the mana that you use reflect those decisions. And anyone that's familiar with Dice Try's channel on YouTube, Dice Try, Dicetry, Dice Try, will see a ton, like hundreds of hours of color philosophy for you to be able to build your character with. So check that stuff out. Awesome channel, great guy, awesome community on Discord. So having said all that, that's my intro. Let me reconfigure my screen here real quick so that you can see what I'm working on. I'm on the X Twitter platform at Phil Kearney. If you're interested and you're on the X Twitter platform, you can tag along to get notifications when I'm live. Take a look at the artwork that I post. That might be why you decided to come through the channel and find out what I got going on. These are all illustrations that I make myself for the books that I create that I then publish online. Here on YouTube, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications of when we are live in the future. And what's going on here, buddy? There we go. You can click over here, and here's the color mana and playtest document that we're using. It's on my Patreon. You do not have to be a Patreon member, but God bless you if you want to support me. Click the Martial Powers button, and it takes you to this document, which is the same document that we have here that we've been playing with here. I'm dropping down to page 141 of the document into the Cleric scaffolding that we built. And now we're going to reconstruct the life, light, trickery, and war domains to utilize the color mana system. If you want to find out more about it, you should check out the books. All my books have free previews, and you can see a stack of them. All of the books that we've created for the color mana system here using 2014 rules are available for you to read as is right now. Like the core mechanics book here is 75 pages, open for you to read as you please. We're updating all of these for 2024. I like the new mechanics in 2024, so we're updating all the books, but the 2014 will still be available for people to download if they're interested. And we're going to continue expanding on these books. We're going to integrate the revised color spell list into the core mechanics book. We're going to rebuild the elemental key book since they got rid of the Way of the 4 Elements for the monk. We're going to rebuild that. We're going to rebuild Spell Point Warlocks. We're going to rebuild the Knights and Tricksters book. We're also going to add the Spell Point Sorcerers and Spell Point Artificers. So all 13 classes. Oh yeah, and of course the Martial Power system, which rebuilds all the martial classes to have a half-casting progression using powers, which are a 3rd edition concept from Book of the Nine Swords, which was an awesome 3rd edition book, 3.5 technically, that created alternate magic system that we're calling powers as per 3rd edition, that you spend mana, you do things. We have all the rules of engagement on how to use powers that are different from spellcasting. And we have 180 powers that have been developed in this book, pulled from 5th edition, 4th edition, 3rd edition to all work inside of 5e that are being updated for 5e to 4 gameplay. About 180 of them. 115 are mana from level. You can spend up to 5 mana as a half-casting progression. And there's about 80 of them that, about 65 of them that are like cantrip type effects that don't require spending mana, such as 40 feats, the weapon masteries that you can prepare instead of be bound to a specific weapon. And we have damage types that your character can learn so that you can decide what type of damage you deal to an opponent on hit. So you can look at all those. And then we have the conversion of all the actual martial classes, including the Barbarian, and all 4 subclasses that are in the Player's Handbook 24. The Fighter, same thing. The Monk, Knight, Monk, the Rogue. And then we have the Half-Casters, which can use both powers and spells. You decide how many of each you want to prepare, but it's a half-casting system, so it works fantastic and been revised to use the mana system for the Ranger and the Paladin. And then half-casting the Artificer, though not published in the Player's Handbook 24. We are in the process of building the Artificer, the Spell Point Artificer book, so you don't need to have Wizards publishing it. You'll have the entire chassis here and the modifications for spell points. And we have the Artificers can use infusions to create powers in addition to the spells that they have as a half caster, and a Warlock can get access to powers by choosing invocations to get access to power while still having access to their normal spells. And these are all off of a short rest mechanic, where you're gaining mana from level 1 to 20. You get it back on a short rest. And yeah, so you check all this stuff out. We have a playtest that's going on that's going to be starting potentially as soon as next week. I need at least 3 people playing, up to 5. I can either play on Mondays or Saturdays. That's what I can do. So if you're interested in playtesting, you can click here. It'll take you to an invite for free into my Discord channel, where you could then vote on what day of the week you would like to play, and whichever day wins, that's the team that will run that day of the week. We'll do level 3 through 10 beginning in November through April. There's going to be a mega dungeon, old school Beck-Me style. Monsters aren't worth any experience points, but extracting treasure is. You either keep or use the treasure for material resources, or you give the treasure away to exchange for experience points to gain levels. So you're able to use those as you please. And we're just gonna sling mana around, beat up monsters, and mess around and find out. So having said all that, let's get to work. So let's see where we're at right now. Yeah, this is our scaffold. Here's our cleric structure. I'm gonna pluck this out. I've got about an hour or so. What is it? It's almost noon here in Seattle. So I've got about an hour or so for us to mess around. We already built out the scaffold about 3 weeks, probably like 5 weeks ago. You can check it out in the playlist down below. We built out the scaffold. We have the mana system that goes from 2 to 80. And again, it's a 1-for-1 point ratio, where our first level spell is worth 1 point, 5th level spell is 5, 9th level spell is 9. And we have a 10th level that is useful to have for 10th level spell casting at 19th level. This is where Wish comes in for classes that get access to Wish. And at 20th level, classes don't get to alter reality until 20th level. So at 19th level, it basically duplicates effects, and then again, you can alter reality at 20th level as a campaign closer normally. So that curbs with the greater divine intervention that we have at 20th, and of course the basic divine intervention at 10th level lets us modify 5th level spells, or rather to fetch any 5th level spell that we know. The greater divine intervention allows us to fetch up to 9th level spells. Wish, of course, is the only 10th level spell, and so it makes sense that we would then have access to the greater divine intervention as a cleric as well. So we have some modifications here, like for example, channel divinity. When you run out of channel divinity uses, you get over the course of your character's career 8 of them. When you run out of them, you can spend 2 spell points to get another use of your channel divinity. And you can cash out your channel divinity to gain mana. So those are cool things that you can do. And so we have the life, light, trickery, and war domain. We have our basic scaffold here. Even though 2024 got rid of bonus spells, I really wanted to make sure that martial classes got bonus powers, which you can see here, every subclass that we have in here has its own. Like the paladin gets 10 spells, so we keep that. We might have to go readdress it because I'm not sure exactly how 2024 modified that. But when we built this initially, every subclass, because there's 180 powers to choose from, we gave you a set of 10 of them to represent your character, things that your character should be able to do because they took that subclass. So we wanted to keep that flavor. So we're making sure that all the subclasses, all the spellcasters also still get 10 spells, because that adds a lot of narrative flavor around what's the kind of stuff you can expect this class to do. And the spell list sculpts that flavor. So we make it easy for your characters to use those spells, and we bend the mana that they can use. It's fun. So I'm going to dive back into that. I don't know how much modification each of these is going to need, because I haven't looked at them before. So I'm going to crack open an empty notepad here so we can cut and paste stuff. But Looking at this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Cool. So the life domain still gets all their spells. But we might end up cheating stuff with it, so we're going to take a look at that as we go through it. But we have the Disciple of Life. When a spell you cast with a spell slot restores hit points to a creature, that creature regains additional hit points on the turn you cast the spell. The additional hit points, I love that they define it as on the turn you cast the spell. When you spend, I have to update this because it says spell slot, and we don't have spell slots. We have spell points, mana. So Disciple, so we have to modify it. Disciple of Life. And here's the rules for subclass features. When we're in the book, if the Cleric gains all the subclass features with the below modifications, if a feature isn't described here, it remains unchanged as written in the player's handbook. So if I'm writing Disciple of Life, that means that there is a change to the Disciple of Life. And in this instance, it's just mentioning spell slots, but that is language that no longer exists in the mana system because there are no spell slots in the mana system. So it needs revision. So when a spell you cast with mana restores hit points to a creature, that creature regains additional hit points on the turn you cast the spell. The additional hit points equal 2 plus the spell slot's level. 2 plus the amount of mana expended. There, very simple. And we don't need to make use of the life spells, but we might want to modify the variants. But they get spells, so I don't have to list them here because they're already listed. When you reach a cleric level specified in life spells table, listed in the PHB. You thereafter always have those listed spells prepared. Yeah, I actually don't need to have those. So I'm going to just eliminate that from the list because it's redundant. Let's look at, so we have 3, 6, and 17. So what happens here? We have, this is obviously 3rd level because it came before the life domain spell. So we have the Disciple of Life, that's cool. I don't necessarily know when this, I'm sure Supreme Healing comes in at 17th. This is probably coming in at 6th, and I'm guessing this is going to come in at 6th as well. As a magic action, you present a holy symbol and expend the use of your channel divinity to evoke healing energy that can restore a number of hit points equal to 5 times your cleric level. Choose bloodied creatures within 30 feet of yourself, which can include you, and divide those hit points among them. This feature restores a creature to no more than half its hit point total. Wow, okay. So that feels... Healing spell you cast on other heals you as well immediately after you cast a spell. Restore hit points. I'm 100% real with you. I have no idea how many of these are supposed to come in at each level because they don't fucking label what level you get things at anymore. Now, again, this is a severe shortcoming and just lack of foresight from the design team. So let's see if the life domain here tells us anything about how this is supposed to play out. Disciple of Life. Channel Divinity, Preserve Life. Is that one of the things now? Preserve Life is a Channel Divinity, so that should come in at 3rd level as well. 6th level. I don't think there is an 8th level anymore, is there? Am I wrong? Did I miss that? Yeah, it's an ASI. So just double checking my shit to make sure I'm not full of it. Class, subclass at 3rd. Subclass at 6. Subclass at 17. Yeah. So you get 3 at the front end, and then 6, and then 17. Okay. Okay, that tracks. I'm good. We're good. We're good. We're good. Good. Okay, so back to life. Do I need to modify Preserve Life? Restore hit points. As a magic action, you present your holy symbol and expend a use of your channel divinity to evoke healing energy that can restore a number of hit points equal to 5 times your cleric level. Choose bloodied creatures within 30 feet of yourself and divide those hit points among them. This feature can restore a creature to no more than half its hit point maximum. So that's incredibly conditional. Yeah, it's only 2 mana to use. You can regain the use of this with only 2 mana. So you can really just, as long as your team is beat up, you can really smack down some mana for 2 points. At 20th level, that's going to be 100 hit points. When you get this at 3rd level, it's only worth 5 times your level, 3rd level 15, but all of your team has to be down below half their hit points, which is what bloodied means. But I don't need to modify it because it's unchanged. So Blessed Healer, this does need modifications because it makes mention of a spell slot. So Blessed Healer, level 6. Let's go back to here. Blessed Healer, or is that supposed to be blessed? What's the adjective on that? The healing spells you cast on others heals you as well. Immediately after you cast a spell with mana, that restores hit points to 1 or more creatures other than yourself. You regain hit points equal to 2 plus the amount of mana expended. The creature gains additional hit points, and I gain additional hit points as well. Not bad. 17. Do we need to do anything for level 17? This could be a short session today, guys. Supreme Healing. When you normally roll 1 or more dice to restore hit points to a creature with a spell or channel divinity, don't roll those dice for the healing. Instead, use the highest number possible for each die. For example, instead of restoring 2d6 hit points to a creature with a spell, you restore 12. Holy Hannah. That's just maximized. That's awesome. I love it. But we don't need to modify it. That's done. 1, 2, 3. Crazy. This could be a short session. Well, if we clear the plate before gaining level, then let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Cool. Light Domain spell, Radiance of Dawn. 17, 6. Warding Flare is probably a channel divinity thing. Or is Radiance of Dawn a channel divinity? Channel divinity, there it is. Okay, cool. So we skip the Light Domain spells because those are good to go. Third level variant is Radiance of Death. Do we need to list it? As a magic action, you present your holy symbol and expend a use of your channel divinity to emit a flash of light in a 30-foot emanation originating on yourself. Any magical darkness, such as that created by the darkness spell in the area, is dispelled. Any magical darkness, such as that created by the darkness spell in that area, is dispelled. Additionally, each creature of your choice in that area makes a con save, taking radiant damage equal to 2d10 plus your cleric level on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one, and that is 2 mana to restore. Do not need to list Radiance Dawn. However, Warding Flare, when a creature that you can see within 30 feet of yourself makes an attack roll, you can take a reaction to impose disadvantage on the attack roll, causing light to flare before it hits or misses. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your wisdom score. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Warding Flare, that's probably 3rd level, and then Improved, and then Corona of Light. So, Warding Flare. Generally, the way that we do these things is 3rd level powers typically. Most things that can be renewed, renew on that you like can regain uses of by expending mana. It's 2. So I want to make that power something that you can regain, because spending 2 mana to be able to impose disadvantage is perfectly fine. There. And this is how we write that language. The feature remains unchanged as detailed in the player's handbook, and you can gain uses by expending 2 points of mana for each. No action required. Equal to your wisdom modifier, minimum of once. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So this feature remains unchanged as detailed in the player's handbook, and you can regain uses by expending 2 points of mana for each. No action required. This is parallel. Let's go up here. The powers that we have. Attunement, precise attack, restraining hold. Let's see, breath of life, cooperative effort, overrun. Oh, let's go down to resilient. Yeah, let's go down to reactions for 2 mana. Control fall, deflect, downtrodden, interpose, reposition, countering attack, curse the fall, public movement, target, redirect, roll the hit, saving grace. Reroll any d20 taste, including any number of power dice rolled. So you get to re-roll your die, including you don't necessarily. Yeah, it's 2 mana for you to be able to re-roll a d20 test, which is essentially what this is allowing you to do. Same thing, except that it's there you go, Cleric. Improve Warding Flare. You regain all expended uses of your Warding Flare. You regain all expended uses of your Warding Flare when you finish a short or long rest. In addition, whenever you use Warding Flare, you can give the target of the triggering attack a number of temporary hit points equal to... Wow. We do not need to include improved Warding Flare. So that resolves that. But what about 17th level? Corona Light. Corona Light, tasty. I prefer Especial though. As a magic action, you cause yourself to emit an aura of sunlight that lasts for 1 minute or until you dismiss it. No action required. You emit bright light in a 60-foot radius and dim light for an additional 60. Interesting. Your enemy and the bright light have disadvantage on saving throws against your Radiance of Dawn and any spell. Your Radiance of Dawn. Oh, yeah. Saving throw disadvantage. Okay. And any spell that deals fire or radiant damage. That's cool. That's a... Boy, is that a Boros ability. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. At 17th level, this would be a 5th level ability, so this would be you would be able to regain this as 5th level as well. So we'll include this. Corona of Light. This feature remains unchanged as detailed in the player's handbook, and you regain uses by expending 5 points of mana each. No action required. Okay, so looks like we've got the light domain taken care of. Let's check out Trickery. Blessing of the Trickster as a magic action. You can choose yourself or a willing creature of yourself with it have advantage on dexterity stealth checks. The blessing lasts until you finish a long rest or you use this feature again. No need to change that. I love that, by the way. It's a really great ability. Invoke Duplicity. Channel Divinity feature. You can expend one use of your Channel Divinity to create a perfect visual illusion of yourself in an unoccupied space you can see within 30 feet of yourself. The illusion is intangible and doesn't occupy its space. It lasts for 1 minute, but it ends early if you dismiss it, no action required, or have the incapacity condition. The illusion is animated and mimics your expressions and gestures. While it persists, you gain the following benefits. Cast spells. You can cast spells as though you were in the illusion's place, but you must use your own senses. Distract. When both you and your illusion are within 5 feet of a creature that can see the illusion, you have advantage on attack rolls against that creature, given how distracting the illusion is to the target. And move. As a bonus action, you can move the illusion up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space that you can see that is within 120 feet of yourself. Tricky domain spells. So far, I don't need to do any of this. 6th level and 17th level. Trickster's Transposition. Whenever you take the bonus action to create or move the illusion of your invoked duplicity, you can teleport, swapping places with the illusion. The illusion of the invoked duplicity has grown more powerful in the following ways. Shared distraction. When you and your allies make attack rolls against a creature within 5 feet of the illusion, the attack roll has advantage. And healing illusion. When the illusion ends, you or a creature of your choice within 5 feet of it regains a number of hit points equal to your cleric level. This literally has no changes. All features remain unchanged as detailed in the player's handbook. Period. That's all we need to do. I'm not just going to make up abilities. Don't need to. Guided strikes. So when you or a creature within 30 feet of you misses with an attack roll, you can expend one use of your Channel Divinity and give that roll a +10 bonus, potentially causing it to hit. When you use this feature to benefit another attack, when you use this feature to benefit another creature's attack roll, you must take a reaction to do so. So guided strikes, unchanged. War domain spells, your connection to this divine domain, blah, blah, blah. Always have them ready. War priest, bonus action. You can make one attack with a weapon. As a bonus action, you can make one attack with a weapon or an unarmed strike. You can use this bonus action a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier. You regain all expended uses when you finish a short or long rest. War priest. So we can blip those away. Copy. This feature remains unchanged as detailed as player's handbook, and you can regain uses by expending 2 points of mana for each use. No action required. War God's Blessing, 6. You can expend a use of your Channel Divinity to cast Shield of Faith or Spiritual Weapon. First or second level spell, rather than expending a spell slot. When you cast either spell this way, the spell doesn't require concentration. Instead, the spell lasts for 1 minute, but it ends early if you cast that spell again, have the incapacitated condition, or die. So, this does require modifications. Yay! War God's Blessing. There. You can expend a use of your Channel Divinity to cast Shield of Faith or a Spiritual Weapon. Cast Shield of Faith or Spiritual Weapon rather than expending mana. When you cast either spell this way, the spell doesn't require concentration. Instead, the spell becomes persistent. Becomes persistent, but ends early if you cast that spell again. So you can have both Shield of Faith and Spiritual Weapon active by using 2 mana with this ability each, or Channel Divinity, but it's 2 mana a pop. Persistent means that it doesn't have concentration, and it remains active until you begin a long rest, or technically end a long rest. Until you finish a long rest. And if you want to retain persistence through the long rest, when you finish your long rest, you can choose to leave the mana expended so that the spell remains active. So let's look up Shield of Faith real quick, just so we know what we're getting into. A shimmering field surrounds a creature of your choice within range +2 armor class bonus for the duration. That's fantastic. Cool. I love it. Love it. Mage armor is persistent with this system, for instance. And then let's look at 17. Avatar of Battle. You gain resistance. Oh, no, that's fine. No need for changes there. Holy shit. We finished. Okay, well, that was the Cleric. How long have we been at this? Only 37 minutes in, but we've just cleared our Cleric list. 1, 2, 3, pop. 3. There. Hit the save button here. Man, everything's going along really, really nicely. Circle. Yeah, I think I'm just going to cut it short today. So that's our Clerics. They're looking good. Happy to go. I'm going to be back, let's see. I'll be back tomorrow morning to continue working on the Eberron books. I will be back on Thursday morning to continue Eberron books. I'll be back. I'm going to actually be at lunch. 4:30. No, 5 o'clock Seattle time, 8 o'clock East Coast time. We're starting up a Beck Me game with Wally DM and How to RPG, Fred Wheeler, and a slew of other good folk. So we'll do a 20,000 XP Beck Me adventure on Thursday, and then after that, I'm going to come back on stream here on my own, and we'll look at the Warlock. We're just going to lock down all the stuff on the Warlock with invocations on Thursday night. Friday morning we'll be back to continue to do more Eberron artwork, and then Friday lunchtime we'll be back to finish the Warlock if it isn't done yet, and if it is, we'll go back through and we'll look at the Paladin spell list. Actually, let's take a look at the Paladin right now, since we're here and I have a few minutes. Let's see, is the Paladin still needing spells, or did it not get spells? Pally, because I honestly don't know. Oath. No. Yeah, Oath. Oath spells. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Perfect. Glory. 10. Ancients. 10. Vengeance. 10. Great. So we already have 10 spells that are allocated to the Paladin. We don't have to worry about that. We've already buffed out the Rangers so that if they got 10 spells, they don't get powers. If they got 5 spells, they also get 5 powers. And if they didn't get any spells, they get 10 powers. So again, across all the board, all classes get 10 bonus spells and or spells/powers. So there you go. So the Paladin's taken care of. The only thing that we need to worry about is looking at the Warlock. So there's issues with like spell slots and invocations and stuff like that need to be addressed. So we're gonna look through the invocations, make sure everything there leads clean, and then the entire playtest will be done. Again, we have a playtest that's gonna be firing up as soon as next week. It could be as early as Monday. If we choose a Monday, it'll be Monday. If it's a Saturday, it'll be a Saturday. Our first session will be a session 0. Building characters, looking over revisions, and making sure everyone's crystal about the mechanics that go involved with it, to then follow up the following week to begin at 3rd level through a dungeon crawl. This Saturday, I'll be doing my lunch development stream from 9 a.m. till noon, Seattle time, or noon till 3 on the East Coast, or wherever you're in the world. What we're going to do that day is we're going to be looking at how the adventure is structured, like how the playtest is going to be structured, how the Beckme XP system works in 5th edition, and how we can further utilize that as a mana resource for characters to either spend or to throw away to gain experience points. So you'll see how that system works. We're going to use the dungeon website to randomly generate dungeons for us, and we'll build themes around that. So we're going to try to build them out like in 5-room dungeons and 5-room sets, so we can control the amount of monsters as well as the random, the wandering monster tables. So I've got a lot to say about that, but I'm going to hold my tongue until Saturday. So if you're interested in seeing how Beckme the Beckme XP system can convert, or the Beckme reward system can translate into 5th edition for your own mega dungeons or ongoing campaigns, stay tuned. Got a lot to tell you, and I'm looking forward to connecting. So catch you guys on the other side. Cheers.